The Delta Blues Museum is the engine that drives tourism. I mean, that was why people have been coming here for 40 years.
It's done great things for the community. It's a tremendous magnet for tourists and also educational for the kids, our new upcoming blues musicians and what have you.
I had to move up from just teaching guitar to bass, piano, drums as well. It's taken me and the students a lot of places, so it's very satisfying.
And I'm trying to get the kids something to do when they get out of school besides go and get in trouble, so I'm working hard at it.
Artists like ZZ Top and others were coming to town, and they would cause quite a stir. I came on board in July of 2003. The museum was located in the historic freight depot, and the Muddy Waters cabin was in the depot, and the Board of Trustees at that time wanted to expand the museum to showcase the Muddy Waters cabin in a better means. So that was my first directive, and we began writing grants towards that end, and we finally were able to build a new wing in 2012 and move the cabin into that. As part of that directive, we've been able to develop plans for new permanent exhibits, which some of them are being installed right now in 2019, the museum's 40th anniversary. The new exhibits are just upgrading of what we're doing, so we're telling an even deeper blues story. We're utilizing larger graphics, and we're going to add some video components and hopefully some interactive components. The Delta Blues Museum was founded in 1979, and Sid Graves and his board of the Carnegie Public Library founded it in a response to the tourists that were coming to Clarksdale, and they were looking for blues artists, blues sites, or anything about blues. And because we didn't really have anything at that time, they eventually wound up going to the library.
We started off with absolutely nothing. Sid and I were walking down the street, I guess in 79, late 78, something like that, across the street down where the Feed and Seed used to be, headed down to the next block. And I have no idea where we were going or why, but that's when he told me that he had this idea for starting a blues museum, and told me a little bit about how important so many of the blues players were in the area and that they needed to be honored and remembered.
Sid convinced the library to start the Delta Blues Museum, and they started it in the branch of the Myrtle Hall Library.
Once the museum had been opened at the Myrtle Hall Branch Library in their meeting room, he got some different people to give artifacts, I suppose you could call it. There were guitars, there were other pieces of equipment, photographs that he got from different people. The figure of Muddy Waters, we had that when it was still upstairs at the Blues Museum.
If you go back and look at the reports, they were getting some 500 people coming into that space, which really didn't have the capacity. And the library officials were also worried a little bit about security, so the Delta Blues Museum relocated to the main branch downtown at 114 Delta Avenue for a period of time until we kind of outgrew that space, because the museum continued to expand. Artists like Robert Plant, ZZ Top, Jimmy Page, and others were coming to town, and they would cause quite a stir, which really interrupted library patrons' time trying to, read or do research. So it was kind of a natural growth for the museum to leave the library and come here to the renovated freight depot.
So I was here for the move when it left the Carnegie Library. We came here. We did not have a director at the time. John Ruskey helped us for a long time. John had been involved prior to that at the Carnegie Library.
I thought that I had found a little bit of heaven on earth. I love the blues. The reason I came back to Clarksville was because the blues just hit me in such a deep way. And I was already entranced by the music of John Lee Hooker and Muddy Waters. And that was the reason I came to Clarksville, actually, specifically because of those two gentlemen. Almost single-handedly, the Delta Blues Museum has led the long-term success of tourism in Clarksville.
The Delta Blues Museum is the engine that drives tourism. I mean, that was why people have been coming here for 40 years to visit it. And I think everybody kind of feeds off that, because when people come, they have to have a place to stay, a place to eat, they like to party. So I think people in Clarksville, a lot of them may not be aware of the impact, like I say, but it's certainly obvious to me.
When we moved here to this location, Ground Zero Blues Club opened, and the Dutch Oven, which is a local restaurant, also opened. And you saw some more growth down here at this end of town as opposed to just down at the library end of town.
Clarksdale owes Sid Graves a huge debt. I don't think the town would be here if it hadn't been for the blues and recognizing and appreciating what those guys did.
Sid Graves was a remarkable visionary. He saw originally back in the 1970s the need to preserve and share the artifacts and the story that comes from this community that led to the earth-shaking music, that we all know today, that influenced every form of popular music there is today.
It's done great things for the community. It's a tremendous magnet for tourists and also educational for the kids, our new upcoming blues musicians and what have you.
And with the thing with the school they've got with the kids after school that they teach how to play the blues, the product they've churned out since I've been paying attention 20, 25 years has been incredible. I mean, the kids are just, in the new group they've got this year, I heard them at the Christmas parade. It was like, wow, these kids are great, and they're only about 3 feet tall.
Mr. Johnny Billington was teaching students how to sing and play blues in his garage in Lambert. And that really started because when he would take breaks from being a mechanic, he noticed that kids were kind of hanging around.
He would put the tools away and open up his workshop to neighborhood kids who wanted to learn something about the music.
He would play guitar, and they were kind of interested in it and wanted to start to learn. Well, the Delta Blues Museum, when we were in the library, found out about this program, and he was able to move into the Blues Museum and started teaching students of all ages how to sing and play the blues.
He gracefully accepted me to be one of his apprentices. I was kind of an oddball, older white dude. Most of his students were kids, and mostly were teenagers or younger.
At some point during President Clinton's term, our students got to go to the White House and meet President Clinton and perform. And then later on, as Mr. Johnny got older and the museum had moved here, we began to hire other local musicians.
I got involved first by enrolling my grandson in the program. And being here, watching him perform, and sometimes I would help out. And then one of the instructors here asked me would I like to go be a part of this, to help train and teach the kids. And I told him I didn't mind doing it. So he said, I'm gonna get it worked out upstairs, then you'll be on board.
Well, I got started about 7 or 8 years ago, and at first I was kind of like teaching. I could never see myself doing that. But I gave it a shot anyway, and now it's 7 or 8 years later, and I love it, and I've had a lot more responsibilities now. I had to move up from just teaching guitar to bass, piano, and drums as well.
I got started in this when I graduated from this classroom years ago up under Mr. Johnny Billington and Dr. Michael James. And I've been doing it ever since, about maybe 15 years now and counting. And I'm trying to get the kids something to do when they get out of school besides go and get in trouble. So I'm working hard at it.
I met Mr. Johnny when I was like 8 years old. Started playing with him when I was like 10, and come to the Delta Blues Museum when I was 10, graduated when I was 12. He doesn't just teach you music, he taught you everything. He taught you how to work and taught you about life. I never got to play a show until I was probably like 15 or so. I had to sit around and watch first before I could even touch the drums on a show, But he had us dressing very nice, suit, tie. I had to, even though I wasn't playing, I had to still wear a suit and tie and sit there and watch.
As you see today, they were in there playing and jamming, and they love it, and I love it. I love to see the fact that they're keeping the blues alive, because a lot of people say things about the blues, but I wonder why people don't like the blues around here, because the blues is a poor man's misery. And the miserable part is why he sings the blues. I'd like to see it continue and draw more people and keep going what it's doing, keep training and teaching kids.
To see a child, be struggling, then once he catch on, just see that smile on his face, once he get it, it just makes you feel good. Then you can just stand back and watch him play. This is what I do. This is what I showed him how to do.
I started when I was 5. It took me a whole year to learn. So by the time I got to the age of 6, I was playing real good.
I would like to see more students come and get more interested in music and get off the street, and all this crime and stuff like this.
This is a great program, and we've got some really good students, and I want to see where they go. I want to see how far they can make it.
My name is Cameron Cox, and I'm 16 years old, and if I wasn't in his band, I'd probably be doing nothing, or I wouldn't know how to play drums.
Hey, my name is Devontae Thorne. I'm 12 years old, and if I wasn't in the Delta Blues Museum program, I'd probably be at my school playing band because I love music.
My name is Isaac Thornton. I am 15 years old, and if I wasn't in the Delta Blues Museum program, I would be I'd be somewhere playing the drums because I love music.
My name is Tyler Slack. I'm 14 years old, and if I were not doing this program, I would probably pursue music in another fashion.
My name is Aaron Wilkins, and I'm 14 years old, and if I was not in the Delta Blues Museum program, then I probably would be doing nothing.